I'm very happy to be alive. Would like to plan to keep being alive for a while longer.
It's an honor to be here with you today. And I want to start out by saying, so you are at the helm of Rebel Girls. It's an edutainment company that has a mission to inspire and instill confidence in 50 million girls by the year 2025. And you guys have sold over 50 million books. And now you're going into theater, TV, and merchandise. My only concern here is that Bob Iger and Disney are going to be taking a long, hard look at you guys in the next few years as an acquisition target. So I hope that never happens. But I want to start off by talking about the confidence gap. And as you know, academic research has shown that gender stereotypes take root in the mind of girls at a very young age, as early as 6, so early elementary school. And these stereotypes impact girls in so many ways. They affect the way they feel about their capabilities, their interests, their sense of belonging, and so much more. And socialization factors are not just books and media. They're also things like parents, teachers, peer groups, education in schools. How have you thought about how your platform can touch these other realms and help close the confidence gap in a more comprehensive way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, which is the confidence gap starts at age 6 and it widens every single year from then on. Girls think that they're less smart and less capable than boys. And more research is coming out on this. Lego just published a paper earlier this week for International Day of the Girl that they did with the Gina Davis Institute, showcasing that it still has this gap. And it said that parents, and still to a lesser extent their children, are still influenced by gender notions of career. And when asked when gender immediately comes to mind, thinking of scientists, parents from 7 countries were much more likely to say male, right? And so I think that basically underscores the necessity of what Rebel Girls is doing, and the necessity of what we all need to be doing to make this confidence gap go away and give girls the same playing field as boys when they're little in terms of what they can be and what the expectations of them are, and what the world looks like. And so, our book started by showcasing real life role models, because less than a fifth of children's books have female characters with any sort of agency.
Yeah.
So careers or even career ambitions, and they become a staple in schools. And so we know that our books and our podcast are used widely around the world in schools, grades 1 through 5, as part of the curriculum, of part of telling more stories in history of more women who have done incredible things. We partnered with Kahoot earlier this year to put some quizzes on Kahoot, and got over 1 million players within 2 months playing those. And so we've been developing more podcast guides, teachers' curriculums, educator guides for how can we reach more girls and quite honestly more boys too, so that they see that women can be all these amazing things. So it's one of those things where research continues to come out and it hasn't changed. The Guardian published an article last year that said in the UK, only 5% of children's books had a person of color as the main character.
Wow.
Only 5%. But 38% of children's books in the UK have animals or inanimate objects as main characters. So that means a kid is 8 times more likely to have an animal showcase in his or her book than a person of color.
Wow.
And so it
and
just
that
needs
animal
to change.
is usually male.
Oh yeah. 90% of robots are males. We know that. And imagine what cool robots, women robots there could be, right?
Absolutely. So you are delving into some of these other areas because in order for us to really combat this, we have to move into many different realms where socialization occurs. And you touched on this a bit. I'd love to talk about what feedback you've gotten from fathers or boys, because the narrative, the conversation also has to change among that cohort, 50% of the population. I wonder what feedback or comments, letters, anything that you've gotten that can touch on that or talk about that side.
Well, I think we get multiple kinds of feedbacks from fathers and mothers and who have daughters and sons. And um, I think this is a tool for fathers to connect with their daughters, to
Yeah.
encourage their daughters. I mean, I don't know any father out there who doesn't want his daughter to become an amazing human being and have all the self-esteem and self-confidence in the world. Every girl dad wants that for his daughter. And so, we get love notes from dads and moms and aunts and uncles and grandmothers and grandfathers that say, thank you, because this is something that they can share with the girls in their lives. We also get love notes from parents who have sons, because their sons love the stories, because they're riveting, exciting, incredible stories. And their sons love these stories and are so excited to read them or listen to them. And, it helps parents as a tool to raise feminist boys too, and showcase the array of what women can contribute and do contribute to society. So, we think that our storytelling is for everyone. It's definitely designed for girls and to increase their confidence and have them feel seen.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about continuing with confidence. Um, there are a lot of you've been on a lot of podcasts where you've talked about social emotional um, facets. I'd love for you to go into how you want to apply that to your platform.
Yeah, so our mission is to help raise the most confident global generation of girls. We want to help them become the stars of their own story and the heroes of tomorrow. And to do that, they need confidence and socio-emotional skills that will help them succeed. Confidence for us includes focusing on self-esteem, on mental health, the feeling of belonging and community. And so when we think about our stories and our storytelling and what kind of stories we're sharing, um, our girls learn tenacity. They learn the power of not giving up. They learn that failure is okay. They learn that setbacks happen. They learn that many others have been through difficult situations and have come out ahead and with perseverance. And they see women who look like them, who come from the same countries or backgrounds, who have the same interests as they do, and they feel seen and they feel encouraged. We're also teaching empathy and we're teaching curiosity from our stories. And empathy and curiosity are incredibly important socio-emotional skills for all of our lives and growing up. And so it's baked in to the stories of these lessons and this growth. As we continue to create new content, we are also continuing to have the girl activated and doing more. So when Elena and Francesca came out with the first book, at the end of the book, it had a, write your own story, draw your own portrait. And we've expanded that and expanded that and expanded that. So now our books have incredible back matter sections with tons of activities for girls where they can take the learnings from the book and apply them to themselves. We also have entire books coming out. We have one that's coming out next week called Questions for Rebel Girls. And it's 500 prompts and activities and questions for her to think about and internalize and to make the world her own. And so you're going to see more of that from us, which is storytelling that showcases different socio-emotional skills that are important, and then prompts and activities and for girls to start working on them themselves.
I want to talk about this idea that what you can see, you can be. And that's what your books are all about, is being able to see it so you can be it. there's also this idea of being able to experience it and become it. Experience is such an important part. And, Tony Robbins talks a lot about how experience trumps belief in many ways. And, as a society on average, we push our boys to be competitive, confident, assertive, and we put them into experiential situations where they can cultivate this. And as an athlete, you've been through the rigors and you've been through competitive situations. I wonder what your thought is on how experiences that give you the opportunity to lean into discomfort, to embrace failure, to understand how to deal with struggle, how this helps cultivate confidence in your mind.
I'm a big believer in sports. I think sports teach you a lot of valuable life lessons. Sports teach you how to set goals. Teach you how to work hard. They teach you discipline. Sports allow you to fail again and again and to succeed again and again. Sports allow for an individual journey and a team and a community journey. And the nice thing about sports is because you go to practice every day, you get to try again and again and again. And so it can be, everything from the micro successes or the micro failures to like the mega ones, right? So sports have played a huge role in my life. Swimming was an absolutely like fundamental part of who I am and how I grew up. And I am very grateful that I had that and I learned those lessons. And I wish that for every girl out there, that they have the thing they're incredibly passionate about. I think 90% of the Fortune 500 CEOs were women who were athletes. So yes. I think there is a positive correlation of sports and competition and learning how to keep going. I don't think it's the only way. I think it's important to have a passion. I've, met people who it was music and they poured their life into music and excelling at music, or art or science or inventions. I think there are different ways to do that. I just think that having a passion and trying to be excellent at that and that pursuit of excellence is a wonderful journey to a bunch of socio-emotional skills that come in handy later on.
Yeah. So, really that experience part is so critical, right? Being able to apply your beliefs to and be able to, live it in a way.
Well,
I'd love to see Rebel Girls as a logo at, you guys sponsoring Stanford female athletes, for example. I can just see that already.
Oh, one day that would be a dream. That would be a dream.
I want to talk about you a little bit. You have such a colorful history. Your house burned down when you were a teenager. You often spent 6 hours plus in the pool in your youth. You've traveled to over, is it 70 countries in your past career? You and I are kindred spirits with regard to being investment banking analysts back in the day. So we understand the grueling nature of that. It seems to me that you very easily embrace discomfort and enjoy and relish challenge. What have these experiences done to shape the principles that you live by, or any life lessons that you have kind of put together as your journey has unfolded?
So I think the overarching look back on life and look forward on life is that the world is a really big place and there's so much out there and there's so many experiences to be had and there's so many people and problems and ideas and cultures. And so all of these experiences have just culminated in a lot of curiosity and a lot of wonder and a lot of appreciation, and also the feeling that, there's no one path, there's no one right answer. There's always so many options, and so many answers. And so I haven't felt pressure that I had to do this thing and then this thing and then this thing. I've been lucky to be open to the world and to different experiences and challenges, and constantly seeking steep learning curves and places where what I was doing mattered and that I was learning. And so when I started out in my career and each subsequent career move, it wasn't so much as plotting exactly how to get from A to B, but making sure that I was on a steep learning curve, I was learning. And I think other kind of life lessons and principles throughout it. One was excellence is a really important one to me, and striving for excellence. And this kind of idea that, like, if you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
You're either in or you're out. And if you're in, just do it, and do it to the best of your ability, and try and really be excellent, whatever that is. I think there's a bunch of tenacity in there of hard situations and new situations, and how to problem solve and how to keep going and how to figure it out. Through this, there's a lot of appreciation for me and like what makes us human, our emotions, our feelings, our sense of community, our connection, and just seeing humanity in all different shapes and forms in different companies and businesses and countries and projects. And the more I go, the more my desire is to make a positive impact in the world, and to use my skill set and passions to make a difference. And just my eternal appreciation and gratitude for all those people who do.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And it really comes through with what you do, how you speak, what you say. I love the joy and the gratitude that you exude. I want to touch on gratitude a little, because I remember you in somewhere saying that at the end of the day, if you're alive, that's that's a win. That's all I'm after. And doesn't that free you up to become so much more? Is this idea that you don't really need much to be content. And I want to read you this quote from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. It's not the man who has little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Isn't that so powerful? And this idea that we live in this world where we're constantly in this, I'm waiting until such and such happens for me to feel this way, or feel I'm successful, or be happy. And you really embody the opposite of that. You're very grateful, it seems, for everything that you have accomplished or that you have today now.
I'm very happy to be alive. Would like to plan to keep being alive for a while longer. Life is rich.
It is.
There's a book by Sean Anker called Before Happiness, where he really talks about the lens in which we see the world and how many different lenses you can actually take with the same data set. And he talks about a map. And if you're orienting the map north-south, it looks one way. And if you turn it upside down, it looks another. And if you fold it in half, it looks a different way. And if you're upside down, and it's just the perspective of, actually, it's the same map, but you would get a different answer based on which angle you look at the map at, or how the map is oriented or folded or not folded. And it's a very powerful concept, which is, if you can orient your conscious and your subconscious towards a positive view of the world and life, that tends to self-actualize a lot more often. And so, I spend a lot of energy and time really intentionally conscious of my frame of reference and how I view things, and viewing problems as opportunities, and challenges as opportunities, and being grateful for where I am and having another day to keep going. So That's for
beautiful.
me.
And you are obviously a very self-aware individual, and you enjoy the process of personal development. You've mentioned Sean Anker. Are there any other books that you would like to reference that have really made a big impact on your mindset?
Yeah, there's now I'm gonna blank on the book. It's called Learning to Breathe. And this woman is my hero. I'm blanking on her name right now. Um, she is from San Francisco and was a National Geographic photographer in the 90s and 2000s, and had a zeal for life and traveled all over the world taking these incredible pictures and in the Amazon and in the Himalayas and kind of all over. And she's in her late 30s, and she's in Laos on a bus, and it crashes, and she basically, like, her entire body is destroyed. She should have died instantly. She broke every bone in her body. Her organs got smashed up, her bleeding, cut, all this stuff. It takes 14 hours for her to get to a hospital in Thailand, and they open her, fully. Anyway, it's her story of learning to breathe, literally, and learning to live again, and having this incredible life, and then being basically bedridden and surgery after surgery after surgery. Wow. And relearning, and how she gets back up, and how she goes forth, and how she continues, this. And it's such a powerful story of how fragile life is.
Yeah.
And how lucky we are. And also, when it gets really bad, that it's not the end. And that there is life again, and it might just look a little different and shape different. But anyway, it's her autobiography, and it's incredibly powerful.
Awesome. We'll look it up for sure. And this also blends into this idea of, you've heard about process over outcome, plenty of times. And you are this person, I keep hearing you say that you love being goal orientated. You love setting goals for yourself, big goals, grand goals, especially now with Rebel Girls. How do you stay present in the process and enjoy the process while having these goals? At the end of the day, how do you stay content with what you've done, keeping that in mind, as an outcome that might not be reached in 5 years or even 10 years?
So I like big goals because they're very motivating for me.
Yeah.
Trying to do something important and weighty
Yep.
and is really motivating. I also set daily goals.
Okay.
And micro goals. And sometimes they're personal, like, today I'm going to work out, or today I'm going to sleep 8 hours, and, like, good job. Or goals around my team, or mini progresses. And I think it's about celebrating the small wins, but really taking stock. And every day we celebrate the wins, as a team. We have a Slack channel called Wins, and we post them when they happen. And every week in our all hands meeting, we, like, have a whole slide on what were the wins of the week. And it's about the progress. It's about the journey to the bigger goals. And I think, it's wonderful to reach a really big goal, but it's those small steps where you can see forward movement, you can see learning, you can see progression, you can see girls' excitement and development. It's really, that is where the motivation lies, is the pursuit of it, and breaking it down into the incremental pieces that you can truly measure and feel in a more present time period.
I love it. Can you give us an example of what that Slack wins would say at the end of, any given day?
Sure. Well, I mean, this last week, for example, earlier this week, we were nominated for Best Kids and Family Podcast for the iHeart Media Awards. So that was the thing we celebrated, was that nomination. We got our first order from Anthropology. So that was a new, distribution
Awesome.
channel for us. And we were super excited about that. We had our our fest this past weekend, and we had 40,000 people watch it. And so that was a huge excitement and a win for us. We celebrate when we finalize a book and send it to the printers. So we finalized our Climate Warriors book this past week and sent it to the printers. And so that was a win that we celebrated and a milestone that we crossed. So things like that are some of the things that we celebrate on a weekly basis.
All just incredibly impactful, powerful things. And thank you for sharing. Jess, I want to ask you what your definition of success is. And I ask everybody this, and it changes as we grow, right? Success to us when we're 22 is very different than when we're 35, 40, 50, 60. What is it to you today?
Yeah. So for me personally, success is living a rich and full life, one filled with purpose, adventure, learning, and community. It's really what it comes down to. And success for me, for Rebel Girls, is how do we reach 50 million girls by 2025? How can we be a positive, important influence in their lives and their self-esteem and their confidence? And those are the two guiding principles right now.
Yeah. I want to talk lastly about, and you might have heard of Maslow's hierarchy in the 1940s, where he talked. It's a pyramid diagram where he talked about how to reach self actualization, and at the bottom of the pyramid, there's security and physiological needs, and then you need love, belonging, a sense of belonging, and then after that, you can go for recognition and your self esteem needs before you can really self actualize and thrive, as we discussed earlier. I'm wondering, who are the people behind Jess Wolfe? Who are the people that have nurtured you? We all look at one person, but we don't realize there are people behind that person that helped create and help advance that person's talents. Who are those people in your life?
There's a lot of them. My mom. My mom has always been my biggest advocate, and she helps me to this day so much. There was a time when I was living in Australia, and I'm a few weeks in, and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And I just called her crying, being like, "I'm failing, Mom." And she said, "Jess, you're still alive. You're doing great. Keep going." And so I think that she's the one who's instilled that piece of like, "You're still alive. Keep going." My brother is a real inspiration to me. My brother has been in the special operations for the last 12 years and has served this country really admirably. And some of the stuff he's been through and does inspires me to do more and to keep going. My swim coach growing up, who pushed and pushed and pushed and always gave me a bigger and bigger and bigger goal to go for. I have a number of friends in my life who are just the most amazing humans that love and support me and cheer for me and are there for me and problem solve for me. And just this world wouldn't be this world without them. And then, I have an amazing team. Like at Rebel Girls, I have just a kick-ass group of mostly women and some men who are passionate and brilliant and curious and hardworking and collaborative. And, I like this, nothing we would do would be without this team behind every bit of it. And so, the success really is their success. And even more broadly speaking, the success at Rebel Girls is a community, it's a movement, it's a coalition. And there's so many women and men and girls and partners and collaborators and artists who work with us with this goal in mind. And they are also, the Rebel Girls wouldn't exist and wouldn't be what it is without this coalition. So a lot.
Fantastic. How do people get involved in this movement, in your mission? How can we steer people towards Rebel Girls? I know your podcast is a hit, an award-winning podcast, and obviously you've got several books coming out. Can how do we get involved? How do we help this movement advance?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, encourage all the girls in your life to be whoever they want to be, and recognize them and encourage them and have them feel the sense of belonging and support. So that is the number one thing that everyone can do, is help us all raise this next generation of girls to be inspired and confident and amazing, and be the heroes of tomorrow. Secondly, we are always looking for people to help us create these beautiful products. So we work with hundreds and hundreds of artists and writers and sound designers and narrators and storytellers and ideators. And so if you have a creative bent, please message us, email us. We're always looking for more voices to help create this content. If you are a consumer, please support our products, buy our books, listen to our podcasts. We're also releasing the first Rebel Girls digital app next week. It's called Rebel Girls Dream on the Apple App Store and soon
Awesome.
Android. And this is going to be a collection of the universe of Rebel Girls stories and more never heard stories, and will evolve to also really have interactive content for girls so that they can, again, be on their journey and doing more after they're inspired. So please check it out. And otherwise, we have people send us ideas for women to feature. It's all of these things help us and are appreciated.
Fantastic. What's a good email, or what's a way to connect with some of these ideas?
Hello@rebelgirls.com,
Awesome.
support@rebelgirls.com, press@rebelgirls.com. You
Awesome.
can DM us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Come to our website. There's a contact us on our website at rebelgirls.com.
Awesome. Jess, well, thank you so much for being on today. You are an inspiration, and it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
For more on how to find calm and freedom in a fast-paced world, hit the subscribe button below. And please share this wisdom with someone you love.